All right, type in a one if you're excited to hear how you can mentally stay in the game for a long time. All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. So we'll kick it off. Just some intros. First off, super honored that you guys are taking your time today, spending your time with us tonight. You'd be literally doing anything else, but you came here to learn about a lot of the mindset stuff, right? It's not the sexy tactical. This is how you find deals. This is how fun deals. This is how you find private money. All that stuff. But I think it's even more important, right? The foundation of everything is your mindset, and anyone that has ever done anything in business, life, real estate, family, you know that 80% of it is psychological, 20% is tactical, right? And anyone that I know has ever done anything well in life, it's because of their mindset. They're resilient. They're able to, I guess, get into the game, right? Overcome the fears and self-doubts that we all have, but also stay resilient in the game, when there is ups and downs. And, for all y'all that have been in real estate, a short time, a long time, a medium amount of time, you guys know that things don't always go your way, right? But eventually they do, right? But you just got to stay in the game. And I think the ability to even just stay in there, but also just to be able to be in a good state of mind while doing so, right? A good state, if you will, right? That way you can actually make decisions better. You can think more creatively. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to make decisions when you're in a bad mood, or something bad just happened, or not feeling really good. It just, you never do make good decisions that way, right? So just even practicing how you can always be in a good state, because it's not easy, guys. Like, if we all could own private islands and sit mai tais and eat caviar all the time, I'm sure that's what we would do, right? But that's not for everyone, right? Because it's hard. This is not easy, but it is fun if you allow it to be and if you make it. So, for those who don't know me, obviously Calvin Chin here. I'll be moderating tonight. Obviously, big mission for me in life is to just help people create passive income through real estate as a vehicle so that they can go and make massive impact in this world. Sometimes we get stuck in that hamster wheel, right? As we do in work and in our life, life always happens, for us and to us, that sometimes we forget about our own passions, right? And, for all those that are in the community, like you guys know that, we never want to, settle for just being at work and, living life for someone else, but to live lives on our own terms and have control over our time and energy, which, I think it's why that you guys are all here tonight. And so, just quick background on myself. If you don't know, I worked in corporate tech for 8 years. I think, Kyle, you were also in tech for like 8 years too. And, for anyone that has been in tech, Emily, I know you were, Brian, you too. It's like, it's not really the most rewarding job, if you will, right? And I just remember just one day, just like being so burnt out and just really wanted to, get out of it, right? And just figure out like how do you even do this? How do you even like, figure out how to get out of, a job, a job, right? And obviously real estate was a good path to that. Rich Dad Poor Dad really opened my mind, which a lot of people did, reading books like, Real Less Stupid, Austin, and, other Set for Life books, things like that, that just really start to open up your mindset of like, wow, there's other things that are possible, right? And I think we all get excited about it. Like, yes, I'm going to go do this awesome thing in real estate and buy my way out of my job. But then you hit the first roadblock, right? Mine was, I was so excited about it, but like just had that self-doubt and fear, like, how do I even get started in this? Like, am I making the right decision? Has anyone ever had that, especially on their first deal? Like, oh, like put an offer out. Oh, I don't know if this is right. Let me not do this, right? And you kind of get stuck in this analysis paralysis. I know a lot of y'all get stuck in that market analysis phase, right? I was too. Like, what market do I pick? There's so many different markets, so many different strategies, right? And if you listen to podcasts like Bigger Pockets, like every freaking episode, there's someone new comes on. It's like, oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread, right? And that was me. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go do mobile home parks. I'm gonna do commercial. I'm gonna do residential. I'm gonna do a flip. I'm gonna do wholesaling, right? And I just never did anything. And, I think most of you guys know the story, but got stuck in that analysis paralysis for like a year and just did nothing. And felt bad. I was kind of beating myself up because I was like, man, I was always telling people like, oh yeah, I'm going to do real estate. I'm a real estate investor, but didn't even own anything yet. Jenny and I kind of, were more like me. I was like, hey, we just got to go do something. And, we found a flipper, right? Doing flips in San Francisco. And we're like, hey, you know what? Let's just give them money as a private money lender. And that way, we'll be real estate investors. And that's what we did. Gave her all of our money at that time. We had saved up at 100K, and that was all we had to our name. And she did that deal, and closed it. We went to the closing table to go pick up our check and our interest, and I'll never forget these words. She was like, "Hey, Calvin, Jenny, I don't have your money." All right. She had moved it over to a development project in Reno that eventually went foreclosed on, and then she went bankrupt. So we had never saw that money. And I think a lot of people here, including myself at the time, was like, I just want to give up. I don't even want to do this anymore. I was like, this is stupid. Like, and just like, if anyone's ever felt like down in the barrel, like that was me. I was in scarcity mindset, like just so down in the gutter, right? And I look at it now, and 9 years ago now, and it's like, wow, like that moment was a big moment in our lives that changed our lives for the better, right? And it's hard to even say that out loud, like, oh yeah, we lost 100K, now it's for the better for us, right? But it was, right? Because it made us just who we are today. And those are someone that, obviously is a way better real estate investor, but, also way better human being. But it also taught us a lot of like, you can get knocked off the horse, but it's the people who get back up, right? That really succeed in this, right? And, hopefully your punch in the gut is never as big as ours was. Maybe someone's will be bigger, who knows, right? But the most important thing is that like, we always gotta keep on going, right? And this game is actually very simple. We really simplify it. This game of life, real estate, whatever it is, it's really just about being in the game, number one, but also staying in the game, right? My best deals are the ones that I've owned the longest, right? So just be able to stay in the game, not over leverage, don't sweat the small stuff too much, right? So that's really why we've really felt compelled to have this topic, this call tonight, was to really just go over, how we can continue to get out of that gutter and continue to keep that mindset and that frame of mind of just go, go, go and keep on going, right? Because we all fall down, right? And we all get unmotivated, and life will happen to us no matter what. But how we continue to even look at that action, right? And how we define that action and how we define it in our own minds is what defines us in our lives. So we got a squad today, right? So I don't know if you've met all the other coaches that we'll be talking today, but I'm gonna just ask them to do a quick intro. I'll start it off with Kyle here. You wanted to give a quick intro, background of yourself, and what you stand for, man. What do you stand for?
Hey everybody, Kyle Tucker. Background a little bit here. So Calvin mentioned, come from tech, eventually migrated into real estate because I was doing investing for many, many years while being in tech, and have built several businesses out, from a real estate agency business to property management, short-term rental management, private capital management, all of that we've got going on, and have ownership in 300 plus doors today. So it's been a wild ride, and I've got quite a story of losses too. So it's part of the skill set that you'll need to acquire. So just know that you'll have a loss at some point. So that's me.
Awesome. Jay, quick intro.
Hey everybody, Jay Maranan here. I am a investor, father, veteran. I have soon to be like over 500 doors under management. Tomorrow closing 355 units. Got some partners on the call. Thank you guys for, just kind of following along on our journey, seeing the opportunity, taking action, even though you're scared. That's what we're going to talk about, all this stuff, right? And everything we're going to talk about, all these feelings, all these emotions, I've been through it myself, and I'm going to share how I kind of pass through that stuff. But yeah, so about to be over 500 doors. I invest in short-term, long-term, commercial, like apartment buildings, California, Bay Area to be exact, Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama. So just, trying to continue to grow my portfolio. Also, I am, like Calvin said, I want to make an impact. So I'm also a Zen Coast coach, and I'm trying to help, mentor those. I used to be sitting on the other side too, trying to figure out how to do it. So I like to share my experience and help people, become successful in the things that they want to do.
Love it. All right, Ray, round us up.
Hey everybody, this is Ray Tran. I am a school teacher as my W-2 job. I teach financial literacy, investing, entrepreneurship at a public school in Brooklyn, New York. So I love what I do. And part of what I do is I really want to be able to help the current generation be able to build wealth. Most of the students in my school are from immigrant families, and most immigrant families are taught to save, save, save. But to truly build wealth is really to invest your money. So I'm not as veteran in real estate as the other people on this call, but I did most of my work last year in 2023, and I have long-term rentals, Philadelphia, Ohio, part of commercial in Tennessee as well. Looking to close some more of these guys. And I'm also a partner in a New York City marina. We're building out houseboats. So that's like the short-term rental space that I'm entering. And it's really just about learning and having the growth mindset and the mindset to be able to take it on the chin and move forward and take those lessons and be able to learn from them and help other people around you and build everyone else up.
Yeah, I love it, Ray. Thank you for that intro. And he's a teacher by day and a teacher of real estate by night. So a teacher through and through. So guys, I want to just set some frame for this call today. I mean, these four have volunteered to really be vulnerable with you guys. And I just wanted to ask that permission from you guys, if that's okay, right? For us to be vulnerable with you, because who here has ever felt like maybe this task might be too big for them? Like, I know I have, right? And so we just don't want you guys to feel alone in this, that just to know that we all make mistakes, number one, but two, that there are people, whether it's us or other people that in your lives, communities, that care about you and want to see you succeed, right? And we, no one here has to be here today, but we all want to, right? We all wanted to, wear white first off and, share with you guys everything, right? About our stories, go open kimonos, like I say, and just, whatever it is that we can share, like we want to, right? And the feelings, the tactics, how we overcame stuff, how we are still somewhat in the gutter sometimes, right? Just to know that everyone's human, right? But you don't have to be a superhero to do real estate. And that's what I love about the average human being can do this. And that's what we love. So I got a couple questions I want to ask these guys, but this is going to be very interactive, guys. So please open floor. If you got questions, just come on mute, raise your hand and ask away, right? That's what we want. So this is a question that I hear a lot and I get a lot. So I'm going to ask Ray and Jay this question, right? Is what was your biggest roadblock when you first started?
I would say it would be myself and everything that was going on in my head. I didn't know what I was doing. I saw a lot of people that were doing it and they were successful or appeared to be successful. And I just wasn't confident in myself. So what I did was I sought a mentor. I sought coaching. The most successful people in the world, the best athletes in the world, they have coaches. They have mentors. They have trainers. So it took a while for me to accept this, but if they have coaches and mentors, like how am I too good to have it myself? So I was willing to put aside my ego and just learn from people that are more versed in the game, people that have done things that I have goals to do. So, yeah.
And for me, it's kind of similar to Ray. So my biggest roadblock was me, my fear, my self-doubt. I was in a very survival mode mentality. And I started to believe what some of my family was telling me, that, I would never buy a house. I would never be able to afford a house in the Bay Area. Why would you buy a house right now? We're in a recession. Don't be stupid. And just hearing all that negativity was very challenging for me. And I was stuck in a pattern, right? Like, this is me, this is who I am, this is how I've been. And just kind of continuing on with that pattern felt comfortable to me because I felt that's who I was and authentic. And I didn't have a big enough vision to see the future version of myself and what I need to do now to change that, to break that pattern. I think it takes a lot of effort to break and change what you're accustomed to, and then your environment, your peer group, and that was the challenge, is having those conversations around me, and I needed to change that. So I changed my environment, or at least that was my goal, right? Was to change my environment and to change my peer group. And that's when my mindset started to shift a little bit. And then the things that were once impossible now became possible. And then I just needed to see that, like, okay, somebody else has done it that I know personally. Okay, so I got to figure out how to do it. So it's just me getting over myself.
Yeah, I love that. If anyone has ever had that happen to them, type 2 in the chat where, you say, hey, I'm about to go invest in real estate. And they're like, oh, you're crazy. No way. You can't do this. And a lot of it is like that it's almost like the internal for them, right? That they're like, hey, like they don't feel confident. So they're like, you can't do it either. Right. But like Jay said, it's like, if you can be around other people that have done it, that show you that it's actually possible, then, the 4-minute mile, it's gone. Right. And so yeah, I do want to I want to ask you a deeper question on that, because I know your background too. So I think it was you, right? That was a big roadblock, but you actually had a lot of roadblocks, like probably more than the average person does, even when you first started in real estate, right? Like you had the car thing, you had, you want to elaborate and maybe tell that story a little bit so everyone kind of knows that background?
Yeah, so I bought, so this was like the transition of when I had my first house and getting my second house. This was like, first of all, I never thought I would own one house. So that was like a big thing for me. The second part of it was, how do I get another house? Because I think it all boils down to your goals. My goal was to get a house for my kid. This is my first kid, my first child. Then I had my daughter, and I was like, okay, now I want to get a house for her. So I know by the time they're my age, they'll be okay. That was my high level goals, right? Then I was like, okay, how do I get to my second house? This was at this time, like Calvin was saying, I was like studying the market for like a year. I was scared. I wasn't a high income earner. I was paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes I wouldn't even go outside the house because I didn't have gas money. I'm just being honest, right? I was making like 50K a year. This was a couple of years ago. So I didn't have much, and I had a kid, and my wife wasn't working at the time. So, but I was focused because I started to be around people that were doing it. And then I saw there was a pathway, and I was like, anything that has to do with me getting there, that's what I'm focused on. So then I got my, this was right at the height of COVID. Everything started shutting down, and I started seeing deals that I was interested in pop back on the market because the lending would fall through. So I kept hearing this the quote by Warren Buffett: "When everybody's fearful, be greedy. When everybody's greedy, be fearful." And I was like, everybody's afraid. Now is the probably this window of opportunity is the only time that I would be able to afford a property at this price because the rates were low, people were backing out. So then I ended up going in everything I had, and I put down on this a, 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 a messed up property in a good neighborhood. So that's kind of where I was at. And then I got in. I was really stressed out. This is the first time I was like, okay, now I got 2 mortgages. I have to figure this out. I've never bought $1 million property. I'm not really making too much money. I got 2 kids at this point. Private school is going to start. We just closed construction. The house, the pipes were busted. Some of them didn't have, some rooms didn't have floors. The electrical fixtures were gone. There was smoke all through the house. The furnace was busted. So it was like not really in livable condition for my family. So I had to start construction. So I started construction, and I didn't even have all the finances for the construction. I mean, I had ideas of what to do, but luckily our contractor was willing to work with us. So we did installments. A week after we closed, um, our car got stolen. So our car got stolen. I didn't have the money for the construction. I had 2 mortgages. I just barely got in a tenant in my other property. So, and my mortgage was like 5,700, and I was tight on everything. I was so uncomfortable. I couldn't even sleep some nights. I was like sick to my stomach. I was so stressed out. I didn't know how I was going to do it. Um, but that's where I was at that time. And I was so determined to achieve my goals. I was willing to go through anything to get there. And then at the same time, if you guys don't know Jenny, she's Calvin's wife, Zen Coast co-founder, approached me and said that, hey, we're starting this program, Zen Coast, and we want you to be a part of it. And I was like, I was so tight on everything, but I bet on myself, and I gambled on myself, and I did it, and everything turned out better than I imagined. But I think it was just going through that really stressful time that kind of built my confidence, because if I could make it through that, you know, the following deals wouldn't be as bad. But, you know, I had a lot going on at that time, and I still was able to make that decision for the future. I asked myself, if I do this, would the future version of myself be happy I made this decision?
Mm.
And the answer has always been yes.
Yeah, that's always a great question, right? Like even in investing, it's like, hey, you know, will I be mad 5 years from now that I bought this house or made this decision? And the answer is yes. And what do you have to fear, right? So love that. Jay, you mentioned something about just relationship with, I guess, money in general, and you know how that can be from even generational, from our parents and from our parents' parents, where you know none of us ever were really taught you know money in a good way, healthy way, right? I mean, we're kind of just taught what we see on nowadays social media or TV back in the day. So, question for Kyle and Jay is, you know, how has your relationship with money changed since you started investing in real estate?
I'll jump in here. So, how has my relationship with money changed since I started investing in real estate? Um, yeah, I love this topic. And I think we've all, we could all kind of think back. I mean, even right now, we can even think about what is a dollar amount that, is potentially a lot to spend, right? Is it like, oh, I spend $50 and don't think about it. I spend $10 and don't think about it. Is it 100? Is it 500? Is it, what does that look like? Um, and that number starts to kind of move. Um, so for me, I think as you grow, what starts to happen is kind of a liberation and tie um, to what is possible, because $10 is no longer what's on your mind, right? It's okay. Hey, I can spend $2,000. I can spend $5,000, whatever that looks like. And that starts to kind of, leak into spaces of what can I do for my family? What can I do for my friends? What can I do for charity? Right? How can I give to others? And I will say today, like I really actually spend quite a bit of money supporting people I care about. And I'm there as an anchor and there as a beacon. And even on their real estate journeys, like I've spotted people 10 grand pretty quickly to take care of things and to start on their journey. And so relationship to money, I'll just say this. It used to be very, very important to me. And I think now today it's not. It's just a tool, and it helps make the world a better place if used properly. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Kyle, I love how you took a second to gather your thoughts. I thought that was really incredible. I love that. I love that about you, man. I think for me, how has my relationship with money changed since I started? I think just my view on what money was is kind of like the start, right? Like I think my parents didn't have a lot of financial literacy, or at least I wasn't aware of it, because we never talked about money in our household. Um, they never really taught me fundamentals, and nothing against them. I mean, they raised me the best they could, but I think from the scarcity to abundance mindset, and I think it's all going to boil down to mindset for me. But learning and knowing the importance of financial goals, I never had any until like recently. But the last couple of years, managing good debt, bad debt, never really understood the difference. I saved money well, I just didn't know what to do with it. The importance of like credit scores and how this ties into loans, so you can leverage other people's money to buy assets, high yield savings accounts, just the importance of investing in general, right? I think I just have a better understanding of me, my spending habits. I I started off with a baseline to understand where I was financially, my financial picture. And now because I have that baseline, I know how to grow it, right? Versus before, I didn't know where I was at. I didn't know my net worth. I didn't know how liquid I was, what resources I had in stocks, 401k, how to even use that stuff, right? And yeah, I think just I think over time, the literacy of kind of using uh money to invest and make an impact. It's not even about the money now. It's what I can do with it. Like Kyle was saying, like I want to spend time comfortably with my family, right? I want to spend money and spend time with people that I care about. I invest in relationships because that's what's important. Everything that you do in real estate or investing or in life in general is going to be with somebody else, right? So it doesn't make sense for me if I became ultra wealthy at the top of like at the top and I don't have anybody to celebrate with. You know what I mean? So the relationships is where it's at. And like Kyle said, the money doesn't make it's not that important as it once was to me before. But I think just having an understanding of how to navigate with my finances, grow my finances, make an impact, build relationships, I think that's where things started to change.
Yeah, I love that. I'd love to ask a question. I'm gonna pick someone in the audience here, but what is money to you? Emily, what is money to you? You knew I was gonna call you.
I can sense it. I think to everybody it's different things. It's some Spain, some is luxury. I think to me it's really options, right? It's like gives me the options to take whatever vacation I want to take. Gives me option to be picky of what I want to do with my time. I can choose what type of restaurant I want to go tonight, or if I'm gonna Uber Eats or drive 10 minutes out to get dinner. I think to me, it's like, it gives me the options of the life. As I have more money, it gives me more options. And I think that's what ultimately means to me, the flexibility of life.
Yeah, I love that. And I really feel that for everyone on this call, right? It's like, it gives us the choice that we can do what we want with our life and our time. And I think the big thing that really changed in my mind with money in general is that I used to think that money was everything, right? Like when we were younger, right? In our early 20s, it's like, oh yeah, money can let us do this and buy this and do all this stuff, right? And what really changed my life was really understanding what real currency was, right? Currency is not money. Currency is time, right? Currency is energy, right? I really feel in my bones of bones that like time and energy are the most valuable assets that we have, right? It's good to have time, of course. You can actually do what we want when we want, but I think we forget about our energy too. Like, do we have the energy to do the things that we want too? And that's not always the case. And money is just one way, one path to help get that back and get that more in life. But at the end of the day, money doesn't matter. Like Kyle said, like it truly does not matter, right? And I think the more we want money, the more it will run away. But the more we attract money, meaning that we become the people that money wants to go to, that want to change the world, that want to do good for this world, right? That's when money comes to you. It's a crazy phenomenon, but that's how life works. That's the law of attraction, guys. So I appreciate us putting you on a spot there, Emily. But optionality, choice, and change your mindset on what currency is important to you in general, and that's how you should trade and everything. Okay, on the topic of time, I get this a lot too, right? I hear, hey, Calvin, man, I don't know if I could get invested in real estate. I got life coming up. in general, I'm getting married, or I got health stuff, I got a kid coming. Like, there's always something in life. And what I always feel from that, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is that the older we get, the easier life does not get. The more life happens for us, right? The more, we get married or get a promotion at work. And we get a promotion at work, what does that mean? It means more work, right? Oh, we have more kids. What a great blessing. But does that give you more time or less time? Right? Jay, does that give you more money or less money? Right? And so it never stops. So, this question will be for Ray, our newest parent in the room, and for Kyle. But tell me about, when life gets in the way and when life happens for you, whether it is a new kid or a new job or something, how do you deal with that?
So I love to say to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I have a 6.5-month baby boy, first child, never been a father. I've wanted to become a father for 38 years. And then when the moment came, I was like, shit, I don't really know what to do. And like he just staring at me. And I guess certain instincts kind of take over. And to be honest, whatever works for other people, like many people told me what to do and that it worked, different things work for different people. So I like to say to expand your comfort zone and stretch your capabilities, like take a look at, just try different things and see how they work out. In terms of when things get tough, just kind of zoom out and take a look at why you're doing what you're doing. The reason why you decided to get into real estate. And most people is to buy back their time with their family, time to do the things they want to do. And, real estate is a great path to get there. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a time, but if you're always thinking about why you're doing something, it really helps you like focus on what you need to do.
Ray, do you have any specific examples, right, of something that you're like, hey, this happened for me? Maybe it is your kid, right? And when time gets tough, like how you went back to your core, your why, right, and how that remotivated you or helped you get back on track.
So I feel like most real estate investors I've met are full-time real estate investors. And I'm one of in the minority, I feel, where I want to keep my W-2 job and I enjoy it. So as, I started, coaching and still doing real estate and still teaching, like there's a lot. And there's only so much time in a day. And my wife reminded me that if I'm not mentally there, even if I'm physically there, that I'm not really there.
Mm-hmm.
So I recently revamped my schedule to give myself more time physically to be with my family. To be completely honest, like a lot of things go on in my life and a lot of things going on in my head that I'm constantly like battling to make sure that I'm present in the moment. But I'll be the first to admit that as something that I'm still working on and I'll keep working on, because the whole goal for doing everything is to do it for your family, do for your kids. So if I'm not physically there, if I'm not mentally there, then why am I doing this, right?
That's powerful. So Kyle, and then actually, Jay, I do want you to answer this question too, because you're like the superhero of being in 10 different places at once with 2.5 kids and 5 different roles you're playing and all these different things. So we'll go Kyle first, and then I do want to hear from Jay too.
Jay's still like biochemist or something. He's like still out there working for NASA or whatever he's doing. I don't really know.
That might be that's why he has a clone, dude. That's what I'm trying to like, get him to
So,
admit, dude.
well, for the sake of time, Calvin, just based on Ray's responses, what do we want to add to this? I don't want to repeat the same thing. Give me a little something and I can go off of it.
Yeah. Just tell me for you, man. I mean, like, give me like a life experience, like a true, like, real life situation of like, oh man, like I got punched in the face, right? And how did you respond to that, right? And that could even be that deal that we talked about, that $1 million loss deal. If you are open to share that with everyone.
Yeah. So those of you that have heard me talk about this, I think on my personal journey, I've talked about it, but there was a deal that I lost $1.8 million in 24 hours. Now it kind of was there was a precursor where I lost like 450 of that 1.8, and then, you know, it kind of drove home at 1.8. So you guys are probably like, what happened? For the sake of time, I'm not going to give you the whole story, but long story short, I had masterfully designed and put into play a bunch of new construction builds during COVID. Excellent developments, beautiful pieces of work. And at the time I was working on a loan that was a 22 property loan. It was 8 properties. I was rolling 8 properties into 14 I already owned. So 14 I owned plus 8 new acquisitions. I had enough equity, the 14 I had, to just simply cover the purchase on the 8. I didn't even have to come cash out of pocket. So I was about to acquire 8 brand new units that I had designed. Long story short, takes a lot of work to do a 22 property portfolio loan. Just think about the appraisal on that. That's not a 22 unit. We're talking 22 physical different locations. Okay. I drove the appraiser around for a day in my truck. Like that's how that went. So anyway, it took too long and we were 11 days away from financing coming through, and the builder saw blood in the water, and they took their opportunity because they saw how low I had signed them on. And this is during COVID where it was really difficult to build. So it was 14, 16 months later, and they saw, hey, if we cancel these, we get them all back. We get to keep his money and we can sell them all. And that's exactly what they did. And I never, just, you guys know, I never thought this would ever happen because I was the #1 external rep to this builder, as in I had done more transactions for this builder than any rep in the state of Utah historically. So I never thought they would do this to me, but you know, it just goes to show you, do relationships matter, or do other things matter to some people? And I learned that as a hard lesson. But they decided to activate what was legally on paper and say, no extension for you. We're shutting this whole thing down. They took all those properties, they put them on market, sold that fast. And that portfolio sold those 8 properties for a cumulative sum of 1.8 million more than what I had them under contract for. So I didn't lose necessarily 1.8 million in liquid cash. It was 200 something thousand in liquid cash. But it was 1.8 million in equity that I lost. And I had, you guys know, like I had like factored that into my net worth. Like it was, the deal was as good as done, right? So I think at the time, I think my net worth was probably around 6 million. And overnight, I'm like, oh, we're actually 4, right? 4.2, whatever the math was. And I think the part that's worth sharing is I still remember today, man, and this is hard to share, but I still remember to this day, we have a staircase, like a half staircase where you have a platform in the center, kind of go up the other half. And I remember I couldn't even make it up to like my room to like let out the emotion. Like I collapsed on the halfway up the staircase, and just as a grown man was like bawling on this staircase, and was like, a lot of stuff came out, a lot of words, a lot of, I quit. Like I'm done investing. I'm done doing real estate. I'm done in this space, everything. Coming from tech, I'll just say this, like there seems to be a little tighter community, a little more alignment with integrity. So I never thought in a million years this would happen. And in my mind, it was like, well, you know what? I'm done. I'm not interacting with this community ever again. And to kind of wrap the story, I sat in that resolve, you guys. Like I actually let myself feel it, and I decided I was done. I didn't resist it. I didn't be like, no, you know what? That's like weak. I was like, no, I am done. And I think because I gave myself permission to be done is what let me go to sleep that night in peace.
Mm.
And I went to sleep in peace, and I didn't stay up all night. I wasn't worked up. I was done. And in the morning I woke up ready to go. And I said, hey, we're just getting started. And, you know, I think there could have been a much less cost effective way to learn that lesson, but it was a stack of lessons that I'll never forget. One of them is, if it's on paper, it's on paper, guys. Don't trust people that say they're going to do one thing or another for me. Cause I had verbals of that we were going to be fine. So, that's that moment. And how do we keep going? I don't know. I just woke up the next morning and I think I was deeply rooted in my vision. And I'm like, I got to keep going. Like, you know what? That didn't take dinner off the table. It sure is a lot of words, makes me upset, but we're going to keep going. So that's that story.
Yeah. Norm asked in the chat, how do you recover from such betrayal? This would make me question a lot of business relationships in general.
Yeah, I think the quick answer to that is two things. Number one, Norm, is I think it's really important for all of us as leaders of our communities, leaders of our families, leaders of one another to put work into ourselves. Okay. Fortunately, this happened to me after I had spent more than 6 figures in personal development coaching programs, not just real estate programs, but personal leadership development. Part of those programs is I recovered and essentially did a lot of healing of my past traumas. So there wasn't, I didn't beat myself up. I didn't put it on me. I wasn't like, oh, you suck, just like the way dad told you when you didn't score the touchdown that night in high school, you know, like that wasn't part of it, right? But that was earlier in life. So that's part one, is like, if we do the work, we can come from a core solid place, right? And because of that, part two is I recognize these people have wounds that are open because they're going to pray to try to advance their ego, to advance their position, and they're not going to do what's right. And so I was like, oh my goodness, the world hurts. That's what I learned from this moment. And I will say this, part of the recovery was, yeah, I actually said that, just so you guys know, this builder came back 4 months later and asked me to return as who I once was, because the market shifted on him. And I said, before we even have that conversation, I need to have a one-on-one lunch with every human being that was involved in this process, because we need to level set as humans before we talk business, before we talk money, before we talk anything, because there were humans that were affected in this. And I want to have a conversation. And that's what happened. It was quite a lengthy recovery process. And long story short, yeah, I saw what I thought I had suspected. Hurt and wound, and people acted in ways that they ended up telling to my face they weren't proud of, and they wish they could have changed what happened. So I sent them love, and here we are, moving on, trying to build a better future together. So
yeah, massive abundance, brother. And I do remember, man, I remember talking to you during, right, in that like hurt moment, right? And I remember you telling me, I mean, this is probably way months after, but you said something that always stuck with me too. It was like, in terms of partnerships, right? Because that was a partnership. You said any partnership that you're a part of, you are taking on that person's baggage too. You remember that?
yeah.
And that is so true along the way. And like, you know, just the way that you even look at that situation, right? And say like, you know what, like, you know, they're hurting, right? And, you know, that's okay. Let me send them love and we'll move on. And yes, does it hurt? Sure. But is the scar tissue make you stronger? Absolutely. Right. And did not change your life. Right. But I think it's a great lesson for everyone too. It's like, anytime that you're even looking at a partner in general, right, just understand their background. Like, what are they holding on to? You know, what kind of traumas do they have? Because, you know, if you partner with them, you're getting into bed with them, you're getting married, right? And you're going to be with them for a long, long time. So that's huge. All right, let's do one more question here, and I'm going to open it up to the floor. We got 10 more minutes here. But something that I hear a lot of, and this will be for Jay. Actually, it'll be for Jay. we obviously come from a culture right now of wanting things to happen yesterday, wanting things to happen so fast, right? And so the question to you, Jay, would be, how do you stay motivated when you're not getting the results right away?
Okay, so how do I stay motivated when things don't go my way?
And right away,
and right
like
away,
fast,
right away,
yeah.
right away. I always look back and think about the reasons why I started in the first place. Um, I think that having that goal, and I tell this to people in conversation, is that if your purpose and your reason why you're doing what you're doing is strong enough, all those obstacles won't matter, right? Um, I look back at why I'm doing what I'm doing, who I'm doing it for. For me, I'm doing it for my kids, right? So that's just why I'm doing it. And it took me, honestly, it took me like a year, and it took me a year to figure out why my kids is the reason. And then, so a lot of soul searching, a lot of development, a lot of all that emotion, frustration. I wish I would have started back when I was 18. I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have done that. But this is where I'm at now. And it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So continue to look at my goal, the reason why I'm starting, and just kind of remembering that, and then also appreciating the progress. Because I think a lot of us, sometimes we're so head down, we're like on go mode. We don't realize how far we've come. But I think it just boils down to the reason why I'm doing it, right? I use this analogy a lot too in conversation, is like if you had to cross a lake or a river on a thin, like a 2-inch beam, and there's like alligators that are hungry down there, and you got like $100 bill on the other side. Would you cross that beam across the river of hungry alligators to get that $100? It's not worth $100 for me. But if you had your kids on the other side that needed your help, you would do it for free.
Mm.
Right. So that's your reason. For me, it doesn't matter what I go through. Is it going to be hard? 100%. Nothing's easy. Right. So let's get that out the way. Investing in real estate or in anything is not easy. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of action. As long as you have that reason and that's strong enough while you're doing it, nothing's going to stop you. The only person that's going to stop you is you. Right. So where are you at with that? You got to come to terms, and you have to just remember why you're doing it. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Good analogy, man. Dang. Yeah, you're right, dude. In an instant, you go save your kids with $100 bill. Like, hell no. I'm not gonna freaking do that. But yeah, I love that analogy. And I think another thing to add on to that too, it's like I think we all try to compare ourselves nowadays in like social media and everything like that to what other people are doing, right? But we forget how far we have come, right? And really the only measure backwards is yourself, right? And Kyle and I, we did an exercise actually this morning in our pod, right? Where we just looked at like all the progress we made even this year in the last 6 months, right? And it's so weird because you're like, oh, sometimes you're so caught up in the day to day, right? That you forget to just measure your back to yourself. Like, wow, where was I 6 months ago? Where was I a year ago? Who was I 5 years ago? Who was I 3 years ago? A totally freaking different person. 5 years ago, I was like in the tech world, like trying to be the next, sales director, things like that. And that's all I knew, right? That's 5 years ago, right? Like if I, my 5-year-old self knew who I was today, I mean, they probably slapped myself in the face, right? Like, oh my God, this is crazy, right? So I think just, being able to just only looking at yourself and just celebrate the small wins for yourself, right? That like, hey, like, man, look how far I've come. Maybe you've gotten into a deal. Maybe you haven't gotten into a deal yet, but now look how much you know, right? Versus, oh, well, Ray's done, 100 units in his first, year and a half, right? Like, okay, that's Ray. That's not you, right? So what have you done? Like, how much have you gotten better, right? And I think that like just helps you get over the short term. Because what is short term, right? Short term, is that a year? Is that 2 years? Is that 3 years? Like, oh, we're gonna live to 120 years old. 1 year is nothing to that, right? So I love it, guys. So we'll open it up to the floor, guys. We got 6 more minutes here, but anyone who has questions, go ahead and get off of mute and ask away. Not everyone at once, though.
Take it easy, everybody.
What's up, guys? This is Ben here from San Jose, California. First off, thanks to you guys for taking the time to tell your stories. It's super inspirational. My question for you guys is, how long did it take for you guys to get your first deal?
It took me a year. So yeah, go ahead, Jay.
I was gonna say, yeah, it took me like a year and a half, but my first out of state deal, it took me 6 months because that's how long the program I joined was, for 6 months. You remember that story I told you when Jenny was like, hey, we're starting this program, Zen Coast, and I was going through all that thing. My car got stolen, construction started. I was like a mess. And I joined, and I was like, I wrote down, this is the first time I started journaling too, by the way. I wrote down in this journal, because Vivid Vision was a book that was like prerequisite at the time. And they talk about your big, hairy, audacious goals. So I wrote down, I'll be transparent. I wrote down $1 million net worth, out-of-state property, multifamily property in 6 months. And I hit all 3, right? Because I had the support. I had podcasts and audiobooks, but I couldn't ask questions. So that's what I wanted to do, was I wanted to accelerate my goals. So then to your question, I had my goals in mind, and I wanted to get there as fast as possible. So I needed to be around people. I needed to change my environment and my peer group, and that's what I did. So it took me, my first out-of-state deal, it took me 6 months.
And let me add to that, Jay, too. I mean, if you knew Jay in the OG pods, I mean, he was telling everyone that, right? And so kind of Parkinson's law, the more people you tell Vin, the more people that you share your vision with, right? The more that you're gonna want to get it done, because you're like, oh crap, I told Vin, I told Kyle, I told Ray, I told Emily, I told get a good, like, I gotta go do this, right? Or else I'm gonna look like a phony, I'm gonna look like a liar. So I'm gonna go do everything I can in my power to do it. So your revision's great with your pods, right? And you tell people, but tell as many people as possible. Hey, I'm Vin. I'm about to do 3 flips this year, right? Yeah. The more people you tell, you're gonna be like, okay, I can't let them down, so let's go.
That's why I haven't said nothing yet.
All right, Vin, what are you doing, man? Let's commit to something right now, dude. What are you doing? You got 6 more months. We're at halfway point of the year. What are you doing, dude? What are you committing to on this call? Record it on Facebook.
Let's go.
Man, I'm committing to actually nailing down a place, because I think one of my biggest things is always kind of like a monkey looking at shiny things. I'm always like, oh man, Alabama looks cool. Oh, Florida looks cool. Oklahoma looks cool. And then just thinking about all that, then I haven't done anything. And so, yeah.
You're not
Gotta
alone.
nail down a place.
Yeah, you're not alone, man. It took us a long time. So, all right, Vin is doing a deal this year. Y'all heard it here first. So Vin will be keeping tabs with you. All right.
Let's
Don't
go.
let us down. All right, Cesar.
All right. Hey, what's up, guys? First off, thank you so much for taking time out of your guys' day to speak with us. I really appreciate it. The vulnerability is huge. I love that. You guys are all mentors, coaches, and everyone on this, actually everyone on this call is a mentor and a coach to someone special. And so, Jay, this question goes out to you, man, but really anyone can answer it. So let's say, you started off with that goal, you expressed it to everyone, and then things didn't go your way. Let's say that things didn't go your way, even though it did, but hypothetically speaking. So like, if you had to change up your strategy, like, is that at what point you realize like that's okay to do? Because I'm speaking from like my personal situation. I wanted to go one specific way. It didn't work out, and so I had to like change up the strategy to make things kind of realign again. So like, what are some advice that you guys would give on that?
Uh, I think it's okay to adjust. I think it's okay to pivot. In that process, when I went out of state, I had to pivot several times. This was around the time when the rates were going up. Things weren't starting to pencil. They weren't penciling out how they once were when I started looking. So I had to adjust to what still worked for me. My goal was still to buy a out of state property. The strategies just had to adjust, but the goal was still there. So I was committed to it. I was so done with the way my life was. I was so determined to have a different type of result change that I was willing to go through the gauntlet and, you know, give my best effort and adjust with the market until I saw that through. I also thought that if I didn't hit my goals in that 6-month time frame, that I would have the relationships and the network to eventually get me there. It's just my timeline and horizon just shifted, and that's okay too. So being okay with it, not every deal you do is not going to go 100% the way you want it to, right? There's going to be something that didn't work out, but at the end of the day, it's going to work out, right? You have to believe that. The deal, my first out of state deal was the worst everything in my experience, right? But it made me a, a better investor. It gave me experience, and as long as I hold on to it longer, I'm gonna make back what I initially invested, and I already have, right? So instead of it being a 1-year term, it ended up being 2 years. And I think that's one thing about real estate investing in that it's very forgiving with time, right? If you buy in a decent area, it's going to go up. You're going to get your investment back out at some point. But yeah, it's okay to shift and adjust, right? And with the way the market is now, it's going to be a lot of that happening.
I love to add to that. Like,
Oh, go ahead, Ray.
yeah, every setback is an opportunity, you know? So things don't always work out the way you want. And honestly, I personally welcome that because it gives you an opportunity to learn from whatever you did wrong or whatever, didn't work out the way you wanted. And if whatever you wanted just it comes too easy, for me, like I don't really want it to come easy because then I don't really have the opportunity to figure out what I can do better. And like Jay said, like if your first deal, everything goes wrong, like the amount that you learn from it to improve for the second deal and to share that experience with other people means so much more to me than having a great first deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
work to learn, not to earn on the first one, and then you. Did I see all yours thing, Kyle?
Well, you said it better than I was gonna say. Yeah, work to learn, not earn. I love that because I just think about a mindset shift because that's what this call is about, right? A mindset shift of like, what if on those first 5 deals, yes, dollars are important, guys, but like, what if those first 5 deals, what if we maximize how much we learn rather than how much we earn, right? What does that turn deal number 6 into? Right? Right now is some of the tougher times to invest. I also think some of the more hard, tougher investors are being created now than they ever were. Guys, I know investors that were investors in 19 and 20 and 21. And guess what? They're washed up right now, right? Because they never got serious about what they were doing and stuff got challenging and they messed up, right? They didn't get into communities, they didn't get support, right? And so I love the idea of like shifting the mindset from instead of dollars, it's how do I get exposure and experience as quick as possible? Because I don't care how good you are at deal 1, deal 6 will beat deal 1. I don't care if you're 36 ACT, top MIT, whatever. The deal 6 will beat deal 1, and that story will echo forever. So just get after it.
Thank you, everyone.
Love it. All right, Phil. Last question. We'll call it a night. So what you got, Phil?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first off, thank you for your time and thank you for sharing the great stories. I think fear is natural for all of us. I have fear myself. I think I can handle losing my own money, my own time. But as we scale and try to raise capitals with family and friends, how do you conquer fear of possibly losing other people's money?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'll take this first and then you guys can add on. But I think it's a reframe, right? Because, in the beginning, I think we all have that fear. Like, you know, you're okay losing your own money, but you don't want to lose other people's money, right? And what I always say to that is like, all right, you got to think about it like when you get skilled enough, right? Because Phil is putting in the work right now. You're here at 7 p.m. at nighttime learning about real estate, right? Like you sign up for mentorship, you're getting that support, right? Your friends and family are not, right? They're relying on you, right? So when you get that skills, those knowledge, that knowledge base, then you have the opportunity to offer that back to them and give them the opportunity to invest with you, because they're not the ones that are doing the work, they're spending the time doing this, right? You are, right? And so what I'd say to that is like, use that ability, right? The reasoning of why you're even doing this stuff, and then let them have the opportunity to invest with you, because they're not, because maybe they feel too insecure or whatever to actually take action, but you don't, you're actually taking action, right? So give them that opportunity when that time comes. Not saying to do it right away, get confident, right? And that's how you make, do deals, right? And I love asking the question when I do deals with people is, what scars do you have? What mistakes have you made? And if they haven't made any mistake, that to me is probably a sign that I don't want to work with you, because you haven't gone through the trials and tribulations yet to learn from those and to still be in the game, right? So that's what I'd say to that.
Yeah, I think it's something I'll add, and this is just my personal experience, is like I've lost my own money a lot. I haven't lost a lot of other people's money. I think there's a sensitivity there. There's a respect and an honor. I like to say I experiment with my money and then I make money for other people is probably the better way to do it. But reputation to me matters a lot. And I don't want to get into stuff that I'm guessing or I don't understand. I mean, is a Zen Coast community, especially as our students go through the program, it's there's so many layers of protection that what one person sees a 25% chance of success because they're unknowledgeable about a space, we might see it as an 80% chance of success because of the layers, the redundancy, the mentors that are on board, the protection mechanisms put in place, the alternative financing or exit strategies put in place. It's like, I think of a deal, my first deals, it was like I was kind of just one shot going for it. Now deals are multi-layered and mostly faceted to, have best case, real case, worst case. And, as I work with other people and bring them in on deals, it's like, hey, I've got a plan in every direction. And expectations are very clear on how that's going to go. So, yeah, I think that's what I put in on this question. So.
And Phil, I mean, you'll learn to like just stress test everything, right? Make sure that you're stress testing everything. And like how I said, hey, I got multiple exit strategies for every scenario that can potentially happen. Right. And this is what all the spectrum is, from worst case to best case. Right. And as long as you communicate that effectively to people, that's all you can do. Cool.
Thank
all
you,
right,
guys.
y'all. What an amazing night. Nora, I see your question. I will respond to you one off on that one. But just know, I mean, quickly on that is that, you can't control that, but no matter what, you are enough, man. Right. Like you already, if you didn't do anything else, you're already enough, right? You have a loving wife, you have a kid that loves you, you have food on the table, you have shelter, you're already enough, man, right? Like you go to other countries in the world where they got to walk 3 miles to get clean water, right? Like you already have enough no matter what. And everything that we get to do on this call to invest in real estate, even think about investing in real estate, we are all in the 1% of the world that we've been talking about this, right? So we are already enough, and everything that we do from here on out is just a cherry on top. So love it. All right, y'all. Well, I hope this helps. Go over there, take over the world. Don't forget about us small guys here. But other than that, have a great night, and we'll talk to you guys all soon. All right, take care, guys.